Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quat. We are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Michael Zuzek. How's it going today?
I'm great, Tom. How are you doing?
Doing really well. It, it was supposed to be raining today, I think,
Mhm.
or something, but it's just ungodly hot here. I'm in
Really?
Texas, so yeah.
We got a
It's
cold spell over here in Ontario.
well, I would say I would trade with you, but I don't think that would be an accurate representation. But
No, probably not.
yeah. But how's everything going with you?
Good. Life's well. I've been working towards the release of the album that happened in August, and a lot of work, I'll tell you that much. A lot of hard work, lots of
Right?
time, but I'm glad it's done, and I'm glad it's on to the next phase.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So this was your first big project that you put out, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we'll definitely dive into that here in just a second. But
Sweet.
so you're based in Toronto, grew up, born, raised in Toronto.
Mhm.
Um, where does music kind of come into play? Was that something that was just kind of always there? Did you find it on your own?
Yeah, I was always there. I mean, my grandfather and his family all play the button box accordion, which is a bit different from the accordion with actual keys, and
Mm.
it has just buttons. So when you pull it out or in, plays different notes. But anyways, it's like a European cultural thing. So all my Slovenian family members played that, and then we had a piano at my house, so my dad played that as well. And around the age of 5, my kindergarten teacher just asked my mom if I wanted to do lessons, and there you go, I did. And 17 years later, I'm still playing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And so, was there kind of like a turning point through those lessons or through the journey that was like, okay, this
hmm
went from something I enjoyed doing to something this to like I'm meant to be doing this.
Probably around COVID, I want to say. Once everything kind of kicked off there, and there wasn't any more piano lessons and wasn't going to school. I was just like, well, my grades can't drop in school. So I honestly slacked on that a fair amount, but I got good grades still. And I just started playing piano for like 5 hours a day. So I think right then and there, everything kind of turned, and
Mhm.
I stopped playing like Royal Conservatoire music, classically trained stuff. And I just started playing what I wanted to play, which was mainly rock and roll.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
during that time, what were you
hmm
like? Who were you listening to as far as like the
mm
stuff you wanted to play?
The Beatles, really. Yeah, I just pulled out my dad's record player and set it up here in my room, and just every album ever. And if he didn't have it, I'd go buy it. Like for example, he had the American press of Revolver, right? So
Mhm.
three of John's songs are taken off of that. So I got the original UK press with all the 14 songs. So stuff like that. I became a collector myself, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the I would say I would ask what's the most unique piece of vinyl that you have, but it sounds like the UK pressing of Revolver might be it.
Yeah, I'd say that, or maybe even I think my dad has like a 75 of Dark Side of the Moon.
Mm.
But personally, the one I found Plastic Ono Band.
Oh well,
Right? So John's first solo there, I think that's an original 1970. So I like that one the most, and that's a very important album to me too. So
nice, awesome. I begged my mom back in the day not to
yeah,
sell her vinyl, but
she
you
did.
know she ended up doing well. Originally, she started selling her 45s because
Oh,
it was just the 45s and there wasn't like sleeves or anything for it. So I'm sure they were
yep.
probably all pretty damaged anyways. But
hmm
then she ended up selling her full length albums and
hmm That one hurt.
that hurt a little bit. I
hmm
don't remember anything like too crazy. She was a big Beatles fan, big.
hmm
So I just remember her. She had oh Sergeant Pepper.
hmm
Yeah, she had that one and then a couple others, but I don't remember anything like super big in her collection. But still, like having some of those original pressings
Yeah,
would have been nice. So
yeah, truly. Some of those mono pressings. I wonder if she had any of the mono pressings because that's like a big difference in sound apparently to
right,
Beatles fans. The stereo
yeah.
mono. Yeah.
I I don't know. So I
hmm
couldn't tell you one way or the
Yeah.
other. But no, it's so that's really cool. And then when did you was it the pandemic that kind you said the pandemic was kind of that shifting point for you.
hmm
Had you always kind of been writing your own music, or was it once you made that shift that you were like, okay, now I got to start writing my own stuff?
I was always into sound production. Me and my best friend Scott were always like producing stuff, and
Mhm.
even if it was like stupid like drill like rap songs, like me and my friends would kind of just make like parody music kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um So I was always into that aspect of it, and I think come the second wave of COVID, so the end of 2021 there, I was like, oh, I do want to write a bunch of music. So I started making that a goal, and I think I started just like dabbling and trying to write like the end of 2020, but nothing really serious came of it until like September of 2021, and I was like, whoa, I want to do this. I want to see what I can do with this, right?
For sure.
See what I
For
can make.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that when you kind of started working on this album
Yeah,
or
yeah.
nice? Oh, so what was kind of the thought process going into
hmm
building your sound? Were you like listening to other musicians, or did you kind of have a firm grasp on what kind of music you wanted to write and like what you wanted or who you wanted to be as a musician?
I probably had a pretty firm grasp, but you're never done learning anything in life, I think. So especially on the music front, I'm always listening to new albums and new records when I can. And if my friends recommend stuff, I'll do that, or I'll buy stuff and listen to it.
Nice.
But I think come then, I'd spent like a good year and a half of like really just hunkering down, like learning what I like to play,
Yeah,
figuring out what I sound good singing, um, stuff like that. And oh, okay, you know what? I like this idea that this band did here. What if I can put that into one of my songs later in life? So that was kind of it. The goal was, I think music today is a bit too easy, not easy to produce, but it's too easy for anyone to make. Not to say that anyone shouldn't make music. I think
yeah,
everyone should if they want to, but I think there's not a lot of physical instruments being used on a lot of prevalent songs nowadays, or
yeah,
even there's not a lot of real session musicians, right? It's just like 12 people in a room and they're like, okay, boom, this person is a great image. We can sell her on stage and she can sing. Let's just get like a huge band of guys that'll come and play every night with her, and they don't get recognition. So a big thing of mine was I want to bring back sounds and instruments of the 60s and 70s and
yeah,
give credit to people that are playing them and the legends that made the songs we listen to, right?
yeah.
hmm
Absolutely. So you really wanted to hone in on the idea of if it if you can make the sound live, you want to have it on your album.
Exactly, exactly.
That was always kind of the especially early on during live and amplified. That was one thing that always kind of drove me nuts was you'd
hmm
listen to some of these albums and it would be like this really cool with really interesting sound effects or like notes that they're playing on some
hmm
instrument that you can't quite figure out what it is, and then they come in and play it live and it's like, okay, I'm ready to figure out how they're making
hmm
this sound or whatever it is, and then they just end up putting in a backing track because it's just
Yes.
something they played off a synth or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
But so I definitely admire the fact that you really want to hone in on the idea of being able to create the sound live without
hmm
a backing track.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Yeah, that's a important part.
yeah, absolutely. So going in, did you know right off the bat that you were going to start writing an album, or were you just kind of writing music and then as you kind of got to a certain point, it was like, oh hey, an album, let's do this.
Yeah, the goal was always write an album, make an album, right? Because that's
Yeah,
how I think music should be listened to. I know, singles sell more and singles will promote you better, but music's meant to be listened to in an album, right? There's a story there for everything, I think.
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Did you end up pressing this album on vinyl, or is it just available digitally?
It's just digitally, but that is a goal. Maybe like half year or the year, like anniversary of the album, we'll do some
Hmm.
physical. It's a little bit pricey, but I have a lot of people that want one, so I'm
Yeah,
slowly making a list and then I'll get it.
fair enough, fair
Yeah.
enough. So the name of the album, I don't know why I was beating around the bush. It's called Everest.
Mhm.
What was kind of the story behind this album?
Well, the story behind Everest, I'd say, is closely tied to what I just mentioned about 60s and 70s and real instruments. It's
Hmm.
that I think those sounds and those eras of music kind of laid every foundational aspect of music you hear today, whether that's live performances or studio performances or even like sound production or songwriting. I think that's just so evident, and I don't know if if anyone ever told me who said this quote, and I'm gonna loosely quote it, but it's like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones have written every song that'll ever be written, right? They've written so many different songs and they've put
Hmm.
so many different chord progressions together that it's like, who cares? Who cares if there's a bit of not stealing here, but a bit of influence taken. So
Yeah.
something I wanted to do was I wanted to reinvigorate these sounds and these ideas and okay, this is how they would write a song. This is how John Lennon would write a song. Okay, this is how, they would mix at Abbey Road Studios. And I spent a lot of time learning and figuring these things out for myself through lessons and through like online books and online workshops. And then I was like, okay, I know how to do some of this stuff. Now, what can I do with it? So that was where the writing phase came in and then the writing to recording phase. I always write stuff in about, I don't know, 20 minutes to an hour. It's not very hard for me, that aspect, I don't think,
Yeah.
which I'm fortunate for. But then again, I've written 30 songs ish that went into the production phase and only 12 are on the album. So,
Mhm.
you get better at things. But I think Everest is, how some people's goal in life is to climb Mount Everest,
Yep.
right? That's so for me, making an album, that wasn't necessarily my Everest. That was a goal. My Everest is overcoming things that are heard on the album, thoughts that are heard on the album, ideas, emotions, right? Changes
Yeah.
in life, changes in relationships, stuff like that. So that to me is kind of what my Everest is,
Yeah.
as well as of course making the album. That's totally a part of
Yeah.
it. But that's I'd say like Everest and being able to see it, that is the product, right?
Yeah.
The goal you go through to climb Mount Everest, that was my experience writing and learning to produce and all that stuff and overcoming these emotions that I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's a goal and you know what that goal is going to look like. Like I knew, okay, this is, it would look like this, 12 songs. It had this picture with me at my piano. I wrote a lot of the songs, but what would that journey look like to writing it kind of resembles what that journey would look like climbing. So
Mhm.
I think that's what that is.
Nice. That's really cool. And
Mhm.
you'd mentioned that you had 30 songs that you were going to take into, I'm guessing, be considered for Everest.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you kind of whittle that down? Because obviously a 30 song album, that's like a triple record right there,
Hmm. Hmm.
how did you kind of go about the process of whittling it down? Was it more on the like surface level of, okay, these songs don't match one another, so let's pull them out? Or
Hmm.
were you trying to find a common thread? Like, how did you kind of go through that process?
I think a lot of them, like there's some stuff in there that I'm going to dig back up and put on future albums, but there was kind of, like you said, a common thread, a common idea. And
Mhm.
although not a lot of the songs all sound alike on Everest, there's a lot of different sounds and ideas. They all do kind of have a similar flow of like love, loss, and
Yeah.
human nature, I guess you could
Mhm.
call it. But mainly the way it worked was I was like, okay, here's this song. And you know what? They all feature the same instrumentation. If there's not a piano, a grand piano, there's an electric piano, right? Um, and so some of these songs I had worked out pretty well and had lots of pieces recorded for it and that I liked, but at the end of the day, I wanted it to be 12 songs or I wanted it to be roughly 40 minutes. It's
Yeah.
about 42 minutes with the 12 songs. And the rest just didn't fit. They
Mhm.
not to say that they didn't fit the idea, but they weren't good enough, in my
Yeah.
opinion. All of them at least. And so what I did as well was there were some songs where it's like, oh, I like that. It's not great,
Yeah.
but I really love that ending. So you take that and you put on another song, and that's kind of how it worked, I think,
Yeah.
for a majority of it.
Cool. That's really cool. And so now that the album's been out for almost 3 weeks, it'll be
Hmm.
what, 3 weeks, Wednesday, Thursday, something like
3 weeks
that.
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
What's kind of running through your mind right now as the album is like out for everyone to hear and, kind of consume?
Good question. I think mainly the big thing has been I first I had to contact everyone that came out to support me at my show. We did a release party Thursday night before it came out on the Friday. So I was really just talking to everyone that came to that and thanking them and asking them, like, what do you think of the show? And have
Yeah.
you listened to the album? What's your favorite song? That kind of stuff. So that was the main part. That was the main first week. And that was great. And I think last week I finally was like vacation time.
Yeah.
These years of work, especially these like 3-ish, 4-ish months of really hard work
Yeah.
led up to the release of the album. I was like, okay, take a break. So I went and I saw my family in Winnipeg and my cousin got married. So that was fun. That was the break.
Nice.
That was the long break. Came
Right.
back, came back weighing like 10 more pounds. So I was like, okay, you know
Right.
what? That's good. I relaxed. So today started the official like next process of what do I want to do?
Yeah.
How do I want to do it kind of thing as well.
Right. Fair,
Yeah.
fair. Because, like, I mean, that's that's something I don't think a lot of musicians kind of realize, because it's
Hmm.
like you build up to the process of getting the album or the single or the EPL, like whatever it
Hmm.
is, you build up to getting the project out, and then you push really hard for a week,
Yep.
and it's like, okay, I need to go take a break. Okay, fine, go take your break. Like I get it,
Hmm.
but then what do you do next? Like
Correct.
it's you do you keep pushing? Do
Hmm.
you just kind of rest on the idea of I pushed it as hard as I can? Do you
Hmm.
try and figure out a way to kind of revitalize some songs, like by
Hmm.
doing like music videos and stuff like that? So
Hmm.
where have you kind of landed on what your next steps are?
Well, that's a great final adding point you had there. Music videos.
Yeah,
But some of my best friends own a production company called Fairfield Productions, and they're always like, "Hey, music video. When we doing it? When we doing it?" It's like I'm working, guys, and we need the
right.
grant money, stuff like
Yeah,
that. So I think it's just like I know where I want it to go and um, where I want to be. It's just about how to get it there.
yeah.
So I need to, I already have some shows planned for this kind of September and October and starting up next year. Solo shows because I
Yeah.
go to school about 300 kilometers away from where I am right now for my university degree. That'll
Mm,
be my fourth and final year. So
nice.
then I kind of have like this 8 month period where I got to figure out what I want to do. Because
Yeah,
by the time I'm back and I'm done school, then I'll tour full time, right? We'll set up a
yeah,
big tour with the band and around the greater Ontario region.
yeah,
So it's like, what do I do in the meantime? And so I've spent some time thinking about that, and it's probably going to be a music video. It's going to be, like I said, some solo shows.
mm,
But I'm also trying to, get nominated for stuff. So I want to submit to the Juno Awards and other small, independent music award festivals and
yeah,
stuff like that. I think just right now it's outreach
yeah,
for some of these shows, and I don't got to be in the studio anymore. It's just going to be some outreach, I think.
yeah. And I like the idea of it, like, because you were kind of hinting around the idea of doing indirect outreach and
Hmm.
indirect contact, because like there's only so many times you can message somebody
Yep.
to be like, hey, listen to my album,
Yep.
before they either A, block you, B, block you, or C, block you.
Yep.
And just like these indirect ways of just putting new content out, whether it's a music video, whether it's just like a very stripped down production of the
Hmm.
song, you on
Hmm.
your like very stripped down stuff,
Hmm.
or doing show, stuff like that. I consider that to be more indirect outreach, which is,
Hmm.
I think, something that people kind of, like I'd mentioned, kind of sleep on that idea that that stuff is all very viable and
Yeah,
valuable to the promotion of an album.
totally.
But um so with all that kind of in the process, you said you're getting ready, or you're back in school, or you're getting ready to go back.
I'm getting ready to go back. Probably around Labor Day weekend, I'll go back and the final 8 month stretch.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you studying in school right now?
Currently, I'm doing the final year of my Bachelor of Science honors
Okay.
degree. I major in environmental science. I minor in music. So, yeah, I got a bit of everything. I'm also a farmer, so I kind of got both aspects of the life, right? The music and then the environmental work. And up there, I also involved with some of our school music and fashion stuff.
Mhm.
So I do some audio work for them. So
Mm.
looking forward to that for sure.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah.
What so if music doesn't work out,
Hmm.
or you decide to just kind of keep it on the lower end of things, you said you're a farmer, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And is that something your family's done?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a family farm
Mm,
since the 60s, but we closed in 80s and 90s. Just there wasn't much going on. But in
yeah.
2000, my uncle reopened it. So about 20 years now, it's been going for again.
Nice.
So that's always an
Cool.
aspect of it. And then, I could get jobs in the environmental field. I have
Yeah.
another, good set of family connections there. But definitely going to roll with this music for a long time. And
Yeah, for sure.
if I'm not playing live shows, maybe I'll be doing audio work, right? Like in um, sound production. So,
You're getting ready to head back to school.
yep.
Will you play shows while you're at school? Or, well, obviously you'll play while you're at school, but will you come back to Toronto to play shows, or will you kind of stay up towards where you're at in school?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'll be home a few times for Thanksgiving, for Christmas and stuff like that. So I probably should arrange something actually for Christmas at least. It's just it's difficult when you have a bunch of people that move around. For example, my bass guitarist is finishing his fourth year as well over in Montreal. He goes to school there at Concordia. So as long as me and him are back and the rest of the guys already live here in the city, I'm sure we can work something out. We probably should.
Nice. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So outside of music,
Yep.
obviously you're pretty busy with music, and then and once you get back to school, I'm sure you'll be even more busy.
Probably.
What do you like to do to kind of decompress?
I play lots of basketball, lots of football. I grew up in high school being very involved in the football team. I was very high level there, so that was always fun. That was always the way for me to release. And sports have always kind of been the way. But even just being able to play the piano is a release. It doesn't always need to have strings attached to it, right? I enjoy just being able to sit there and play. So that's kind of how I do it. I watch lots of television, lots of movies, lots of sports as well. I'm ready for the NFL to be back.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's that. I've slowly gotten invested in soccer as well over the past few years. So
Yeah.
I got everything to watch really. I got lots of time.
Right. Right. It's who's your team in for football? Are you a Detroit Lions fan? Is that
I'm a Giants fan.
Giants fan? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure who Detroit would go after. It'd be like
hmm
it makes sense for it to be like Detroit, but
hmm
then New York kind of always also makes
Yeah.
sense. So
A lot of people in Toronto like the Bills.
okay.
That's sort of Toronto's team to a degree, right? But
Fair.
that's also the thing when you don't got a team around you, you can pick and choose as you want, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um how have you been enjoying soccer? Are you watching like the Premier League, or are you
Yeah,
watching more localized stuff?
I watch a lot of the Prem. I also enjoy watching some of the Spanish league because I'm Croatian, so I enjoy watching Luka Modric play for Real Madrid and lots of other stuff. But mainly the Prem, I feel like I don't know, it's kind of just it's the Premier League for a reason, right? I mean,
Yeah.
stuff has changed over the years. I know the Spanish league was really at its height when Messi and Ronaldo were still there, but I kind of just like to watch it all, and the Premier League caught my eye.
Nice. Who's
Yeah,
your team in the Premier League?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Okay. Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
yeah, we lost the past 2 years by like 2 points, so that was no
Yeah.
fun. So hoping for
Well,
something this year.
well, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'm
Uh-huh.
Everton. I
No
support
way.
Everton. Yeah.
Right
Uh,
on.
it's actually kind of funny. So there's
Uh-huh.
a musician I had on the podcast, and
hmm
I knew she was a really big football or soccer football fan,
hmm
and it was right around the time that the World Cup was starting to come back into play. And
Yep,
I asked her on the podcast, I was like, hey, the World Cup's coming back around. It'll be here in North America the
that's right.
next time around. So who should I root for? Like I want to get back, I want to start getting into soccer because I feel like with the all that kind of going on,
hmm
you know, it'll be something worth to watch. And she's
For
like,
sure.
you gotta root for Everton. And I'm like,
No.
okay. So, and I just kind of dove into it. So,
Oh, that's cute.
but yeah, no, that's really fun.
That is cool.
Oh,
That's a cool way to get
so
into it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's it by chance, and then I
Yeah.
realized it's like, oh, all my Chicago team, they're just like all the Chicago teams I root
Yep.
for.
Yep.
They're just absolute garbage. It is what it is. Uh,
Oh,
I'm
that's
sorry.
funny.
I don't mean that, Everton fans. We're not garbage. I promise. I don't. But
Rebuilding.
right.
Yes.
That's the way. Oh, so uh looking kind of forward, you've got do you have any upcoming shows before you head back to school, or are you kind of just kind of feeling it out right now?
Yeah, I'm tapped out for the rest of August, but once I'm back up at school, I will be playing a bit. My bassist buggered off to Europe for the rest of the summer, so we were kind of not left in a position. The main goal was to play the one big show in August and then take
Yeah,
the month off, but I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get back out.
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So if anybody wants to check out your music or any of
hmm
that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
Well, what I would recommend doing is any streaming platform, you can search up Michael Zuzek, and I will be there as well. You can go to my website, michaelzuzek.com, and you can even go to my Instagram or Facebook. It's just same thing, Michael Zuzek, pretty simple. And they're all interconnected, so if you find one, you can easily find everything else. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
Well, once again, I thank you so much. Sorry for the technical issues.
no
It's
worries.
the dang internet here. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on
Oh,
with this
I
stuff
get it.
anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah. But I appreciate you so much. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch y'all later.
You got it. Thank you, Tom.
Cool.